more of us being put in uncomfortable situations, more of us having to stay at jobs or feeling like we have to stay at jobs because we may be the sole providers, or we just don't know what to do next, right? We don't see a way out. And so that is why Latrice is here to share all the gems and let us know exactly, do we have options? What do they look like? And so just a little bit about Latrice. Latrice, also known as Black Girl Magic Lawyer, it's an acronym, it's a hashtag that you can find. I want to say, if it's not in the description now, go to her YouTube channel, you will see it. But she's known as Black Girl Magic Lawyer, all consonants, no vowels. And she's a Los Angeles-based impact litigator, activist, and author. She offers legal counseling services to strong Black people experiencing workplace discrimination. Latrice also offers intellectual property consultations to Black entrepreneurs. For Black women seeking exodus, Latrice offers immigration law services as well. This role serves Latrice's greater purpose because she is a champion of equality for all types. That said, she cares deeply for Black women, as we are her community. And so welcome, Latrice, to Kim, aka Kim with the Gym Stay Ready movement. I am so happy to have you here. Welcome.
Thank you for having me, and thank you for creating this space and giving platform to Black women who are kind of like dialing into their like natural intuition. We know something is on the horizon, and I think it's if enough of us put our heads together, we can figure out and come up with a really good plan. So thank you for the space.
Oh, you are more than welcome. Like I said, thank you, because we see what they're saying out loud now, right? As it relates to DEI. We know that all of the protected classes are at risk, right? So we fall on, especially Black women, it's a double whammy, right?
At least.
And we have seen how the pressures have gotten so many Black men and women to either step down, step aside, get pushed out, or pushed out the way. And we just simply, like you said, we can't take this sitting down. If enough of us come together in unity, unify, come up with solutions, we will be all right, in the words of your homeboy, Mr. Kendrick Lamar.
Yeah.
So tonight is all about, what are we going to do? What can we do? And also how we protect our peace in the process. Mm-hmm. And so if you have questions, because I don't want this to be, I come prepared. So we have questions ready to go and ready to start, but I want to make sure that if you are in here and if you know of somebody, or if you are that somebody who needs your questions answered, please ask them, because we don't get time like this often where we can really pick the brain of someone who has seen it probably all, heard it all, as it relates to toxic jobs, toxic work environments, and Black women and Black men as well. And so with that being said, I'll kick it off with the first question. Let me just get to my questions 1 second. And so I guess, Latrice, if you can give, before we get into the questions, if you could just give us a little summary about your background in this space, how you got started, and are you seeing an incline in what we just described? So
yeah. So I'm fortunate to have I have a strong pedigree, and when you ask a lawyer what that means that I went to a good law school. I went to USC top 20. I clerked for a federal judge at a law school. That's hard to do too. A lot of people don't do that. I worked at the like top law firms that like defend the banks and big pharma and big oil. I made that like corporate salary for a few years. And then I decided, okay, I don't like being on the wrong side of history. I don't like this like dirty money. I don't want to help the wealthy stay wealthy at the detriment of my own people. So I made my own shift, I ended up um, going into a space where I'm able to help those who are worthy of my help, my people. So with that, I decided to switch and start and do my own thing. I'm a solo practitioner. I have my own law office, and with that, I defend. I actually serve as like a plaintiff's attorney for Black women who are experiencing workplace discrimination. I don't have any Black male clients yet, but I'm open if there's a brother out there who needs my help. But basically, if you are either being mistreated and you want out on your own, or if you're fired, or if you feel like there's another situation where you feel like you're being pushed out, I help like negotiate your severance, and I try to get you the best deal possible. Whether that's a deal that's already on the table, or I can help you negotiate your own. I just settled 3 cases this month, so I helped 2 Black women get 6-figure settlements because we deserve them. And with that, a lot of my clients are like using that money to move abroad and to spend more time abroad, which is what we all should do. I was in Italy not too long ago, and I really saw that like life is better, and we get kind of stuck in this kind of like echo chamber, because I think the like US is a wealthy country, but we're kind of isolated from the rest of the world. And with that comes this kind of like thinking that we're special or we're different, but the world is so much is bigger than us, and I think it's worth to go see it. So yeah, I like being on the right side of history, and I like helping my people. And a lot of us, and I could be at the firm making 300,000 a year, and I check. I know what my class year salary would be, but I would much rather be helping my own. So yeah.
Beautiful. I follow this young lady on TikTok. We are actually from the same town in New York, and she just left her high, like she's in the 300,000s, and well, she was, and she just literally left her corporate law job and now is helping women who are part of domestic abuse. Like, she is now litigating. She wasn't litigating before. She was in the office, doing all the back end work, but now she is in front of judges litigating on behalf of, what is it called? Family care. What's the exact? It's family care. Let's just say that. And so she said something similar, like, it's nice to have the great paychecks and to fly all over the world, but when your soul isn't at peace,
Yeah.
it's a contradiction. And so we thank you. We absolutely thank you for, realizing that it's not about the money, honey. Not if you can't sleep at night, not if your people aren't doing well. And so I thank you. And so
Yeah.
I'll start off with, and congratulations on the win. Did you say it was 3 women?
So yeah, so no, this month was busy, and it's
Mhm.
but we're settling 2. We're 2 were 6 figures, Black women over 40, and I
Wow.
do have a soft spot. So there, what I'm noticing is Black women over 40, we spend years at these companies. One client was at her place for almost 20 years, but when it was close to her returement, instead of
Mhm.
paying her what she is due, retirement benefits, pension, all these other things, they found a way to push this poor woman out, denying her what would have been, she was owed like probably, if she were to sue, like $2 million, which is what she would have earned rightfully. But
Yeah.
like things like that happen to us a lot, and I just have a soft spot for women, Black women over 40. I saw my mom struggle with work, and it just happens to us way too often. It's a cycle. That one of the first lives I did on my channel was with Dr. Wells. She coined this chart. It's a Black woman employee life cycle, and it's like we like get recruited, we get subject to like microaggressions, hyper monitor, burnt out, pushed out, rinse, wash, repeat, and it's a cycle.
Yeah. It's so reminiscent of what I used to see in the workspace. It was like 50. As soon as the women would start, oh gosh, okay, between the ages of 48 and 50, where you would see the attack starting, isolation, the not being invited to certain meetings and all of that because they wanted them out by 50. And I don't know why 50 was such the sweet spot for them, but no one made it past 50, basically. No woman really made it past 50. So.
Yeah, and you talked about like protected classes, so that's how we are able to kind of like to enforce our federal rights, right? But Black women, as you said, we inherently fall in two. Now, a lot of us fall in three because a lot of us are Black women over 40, or a lot of us are Black women with disabilities, Black women who are also LGBTQ plus. We fall in at least two, but most of us fall in three at least. But with that means that that we're able to like ask more and kind of help prove our pre-litigation demand when we can prove those facts. You could say, well, it's because I'm a woman, because I'm over 40. These factors that matter that help kind of enforce your rights.
Now, let me ask you, because I know in New York, it is very challenging, right, to prove, or let's just say I've heard that it's very challenging to have the courts side, I guess because it's at will or something like that. I don't know the intricacies of it, but can you just talk a little bit about that? Like, are all states like that? If not, what determines if a state is like that? Because I even saw someone post about they're in an at-will state too. So can you just talk about that a little?
Yeah, so here's the thing. Now, at will means it's normally two categories. It's at will or like right to work. The right to work has to do with I think like labor unions, etc. Most employees are at will, and that technically means that your employer can fire you for any reason. Now, there is a major exception to that rule, and that is if there's evidence to suggest that your employer is discriminating against you based on your federally protected classes. So if you have evidence that you are being treated differently because you're Black, because you're a woman, because you're over 40, you can still recover if you're wrongfully terminated or softly pushed out or being subjected to a hostile work environment. You can still exert your rights even though you were at will.
Got it.
So,
got it. Yeah. Okay. All right. So I guess there's so many questions, and I'm trying to pick out the strongest one that will apply to more people.
Yeah.
First. So
actually, can I just like chime in? I have some thoughts that I wanted to just like kind of share.
Absolutely.
It's related, but I think my message to my fellow brothers and sisters is like part of this like this like notion of getting ready. Notice that Black people are to Germany what I mean to the US what Jews were to like Germany about like 100 years ago. And what I mean by that is like when you have a leader who kind of has made it clear that they want to take you back to a place where you're vulnerable, it would strongly behoove you to kind of get yourself ready and set yourself up to survive that type of attack. Just so you know, Jews left Germany. There was a whole group of them, thousands of them that left before crap got crazy. And I think it would behoove us to kind of take cue.
I'm so glad you said that because you explained it in a way that I haven't yet, because I just simply said, we've been leaving, right? We have been leaving. But when you do the analogy to what the Jewish community did in Germany, the ones that could leave, right? The ones that were able, the ones that basically probably stayed ready, right? They saw something a little fishy, like things started happening, the writing started becoming clearer and clearer on the wall, and many of them were able to take advantage of just being proactive. And that's why I always say we have to take action. So I love doing these lives, and I love for the Gym Nation to show up. But what makes my heart so happy is when I see the comments that I did this, I got, my passport renewed. I didn't even know it was expired. My son and his girlfriend were the only ones that didn't have their passports in the family. So I gifted that to them for Christmas. When I see us being about that action, that is what makes me happy, because that's the only way we're going to survive. Like, I don't do this for entertainment. Like, this is not for entertainment purposes only. This is because I want. Every time I say something that I think the powers don't like, I get my Wi-Fi goes down. Well, the StreamYard goes down because my Wi-Fi is fine. Anyway, so I'm so glad that you gave that analogy, because I think that really makes it clearer to some people who may, still have a little bit of there's some unclarity there. So thank you for giving that analogy. So can you first, can we talk about the difference between what you would define as a stressful environment that could possibly lead to other things? And I know some people don't like to use the word depression, but it could lead to depression or some type of mental stress. Can you kind of share what that looks like, or what you've seen in other cases?
Yeah, so I think I've gotten in trouble for this analogy in some other spaces, but I do believe that the modern day American workforce echoes the like slave plantation, like the way that we're just, it's work, 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 work. A stressful work environment is when everyone doesn't see their kids, everyone sleeps at the office, everyone's operating at 1,000%. Like when the work is demanding and it's not related to federally protected classes, then that's just a stressful job. But if you notice disparities, and I think that's the major word, right? Disparities. You've noticed that all the Black employees get asked to do this labor intensive work. It's not related to our specific job titles. We just get asked to do it. Meanwhile, our white colleagues get to do the more like developmental, professional like work, and we get, when you notice disparities based on protected classes, then I think that's the main marker. Stress is stress, and you can look in our white colleagues' faces. A lot of them look horrible and are stressed out too. But when everyone's stressed out, that's fair game. But if you see disparities, then that's the issue.
Okay. Well, there is a question that I see, and Ms. P wants to know: do you practice in Virginia?
So what's cool about my practice is federal law for now applies to all 50 states and all territories. So I can assist people in that like pre-litigation negotiation, and I can advise you on how to leave your toxic job, regardless where you are and where I am. Now, if it comes to stepping in the courtroom, then I would attach myself to someone in your state if you still want me on the case, or I could pass it off to someone if it came down to it. What I'm finding is that most of these cases settle in that like pre-litigation stage for a number of reasons. And we say that it's like strain on the like judicial economy. That means that since COVID, courts are like already backed up, trials are backed up. Trials are scheduled from today to like 2-3 years kind of down the line. And that'll only get worse, but companies are interested in settling in that pre-litigation stage. And that's what I'm very good at. And I told you I had the earlier success this month. So
with that being said, can you talk about a little bit about your consultations? I know you offer them. I'm not sure what they look like because Ms. P seems to have some interest. So can you talk?
Yeah, so I would love to talk to you. So if you use my card, I think if you subscribe to my channel, and I really hope you do. My goal is to kind of help as many Black people and our allies kind of like learn how to dream again and kind of regain autonomy. So that's kind of what I do through my practice. But I have a link, and I would love to chat with you, and we can figure out what's going on. And if I'm not able to help you, I can find someone else who can. But I'm happy to hear you out to see what's going on for you.
And so I guess that would lead how you describe the disparity, right? underscoring the word disparity. If everyone is working late till 10 o'clock at night when they should be leaving at 8, if the whole entire team, and it's a mixed, diverse team, then everyone's on equal playing field, right? Everybody will probably be stressed out. But if you see that the white employees are leaving at 8 p.m., but all of the Black and or brown employees are staying till 10, and we're talking equal,
same job title,
exactly.
Or they're under you, and you'll be surprised what I'm finding is Black supervisors don't get the same respect, dignity, institutional backing that our white supervisors do. I know that, like, even as an attorney, when I was at those big, like white shoe law firms, paralegals wouldn't take my orders, and I'm like, I'm the one who has the bar number. I'm the one whose livelihood is like kind of on the hook, but you won't. And it's sometimes they're white, sometimes they're like Latino. They can even be Black sometimes. Like we even, some of us are weird to each other. So it's like,
Right. Yeah. No. It can be a interesting web, right? that we tend to weave even with our own. And again, if you have questions, please put the QQQ or the question mark. I have another question that relates to the stresses, like all things being equal, you're finding that you're being treated different, right? You're being and different, not in a good way.
Yeah.
What steps can you walk us through the process? So, like, listen, I'm not seeing my kids. I'm spending more money on childcare, but everyone else is leaving except for us. And like you said, even people who are supposed to report to me, but don't look like me. Can you walk us through the process of how a person can, or we can start the conversation, start the necessary actions to deal with that situation?
Absolutely. So the first thing I'll say is you have to be your own fact finder. And what I mean by that is, like, fact finder is like a legal term, but what it means is kind of like build your own like chronology and build your own facts. When did this start? What evidence do you have to prove that you were being treated differently? Who did you put on notice? And that's a big part. And I think one of the first things that I do when I get involved, when I work with people, is I help them put the right people on notice. Because listen, companies are strictly liable for the actions and the inactions of their like managers. So if you are being mistreated at work, you let HR know, and you let your like supervisor know. You have it an email that they are on notice, and they do nothing about it. That only ripens your claims, because now that company, that like liability attaches when the people who need to know and don't do anything. So that's the first thing.
Okay, so can you just clarify, because I also have heard that HR is not there for the employees, they're there for the companies. So
they are.
There could be some retribution that can start happening. So is there a smart way? Like, should they have legal counsel? Like, explain what is the best way for the conversations, like you said, put them on notice, especially when you're going above people's head without retribution.
Well, yeah, for sure. So no, it is the rule is, are they allowed? Is it illegal to retaliate against you for going to HR? Absolutely. But if you do everything that like you should do by like building your record and by proving that they're okay, now they're calling into my performance only after I put them on notice about this illegal activity, then you actually only ripen your claim. So definitely talk to a lawyer first, but a lawyer like me will help you craft that email to HR to let them know what happened. Let them know what your intention is when you send that email. And also, you also want to talk about some type of like some type of like a resolution. My goal here is to stay at this company and do this, or what and you know what I mean? Like there's words that you can say, and I do help my clients out with that, because it is important to put them on notice so you can like actually ripen your claim and then whatever happens after that, they're actually under much more scrutiny once I get involved.
Right.
So,
And to piggyback off of that, it is important, right? When you're building this case, right, or starting your case, it is important to document everything.
yeah.
Don't go walking into someone in HR and saying, this is what's happening, because guess what? The only people that know that conversation happened are you and the person that you're sitting across. And if they deny it, what do you have? And so be mindful of all of your communication, and before you just act off of emotion, right? Because I've seen this as well. You have to take a beat, take a pause, and be strategic. Speak to someone who's willing to, consult with you on the right terminology, the key phrases that should be included in your communication, because the wrong thing will be turned around and
Yes.
put on you. And so I tell you, I don't know if I'm going in and out on your end, but anyway, the right thing to do is to know before you make a move.
Yeah.
Do your research, do your homework, be strategic, know that there are key phrases that have more impact than others. And again, just be prepared. Just be prepared to do a little bit of work before you start ringing the alarm.
And then I'll also say by for certain instances, if it's not an email, it didn't happen, right? So for if your boss yelled at you one day and you need to document that, I can advise you on how to do that properly, without like jeopardizing anything. Know that if you go to HR and it's related to a like protected activity or like a protected characteristic, race, gender, age, sexual orientation, religion. So if you're the only, like Muslim in the office and you wear like religious headwear and your white supervisor makes a comment about you in that hijab, and that makes you uncomfortable, and he doesn't say that to anyone else, like those are all claims. Those are all, and you'll be surprised. And I think that like rise in like anti Muslim kind of like American discourse started after 9/11, and it really hasn't gone away, unfortunately. But if that happens to you, know that it's illegal and you have recourse. So,
and I see a couple of questions that came through. I just wanted to mention that, well, two things, but I only remember one right now. But the first thing is, it was so weird. The company that I have been at for a couple decades, I'm no longer there, but it got bought out. The people who own it now, the husband who purchased the company made his wife the head of HR. And I'm like, how is that even legally? Like, I'm not there, so I don't care. But that just seems to me very undermining. No one felt comfortable going to HR for anything. And so a lot of people, instead of staying and fighting, right, they just opted to leave. Now I remember the second question. So as I shared the other day about, and you were in the live, and I was saying, listen, do not quit your job. Don't just quit if you need the money. If you need the money, there needs to be a strategy. Don't just quit. There's things like FMLA. There's things like short-term disability. Can you add to that? Because like I said, I'm not the expert. So can you just talk about, if you've, done the documentation, if you are being like severely harassed and you are barely functioning, right?
Yeah.
Can you provide some insight as to what steps you can take?
Yeah, so to be honest, the way that most people I know who choose to take leave, they're already on the verge of quitting, and or they feel like they're slowly being pushed out. And you'll be surprised how many people get fired while they're on leave or just right after returning. So just like if you're gonna take that leave route, take it and use it as like a stepping stone to like clear your head out, if you know what I mean by that. Because when you're in the job, like it's hard for you to start to dream, and it's hard for you to kind of see your life past that like toxic environment, but use that like break to kind of work with me or work with the lawyer to kind of make a little game plan for you. Say, okay, so we will go back and we will, do as much good work as I can while not like kind of catching heat. But while I'm doing this, I'm also going to build my case by doing these things. So like leave is that away time that you can choose to heal and also strategize. And if you can't afford to leave, don't leave. But I definitely think, the way America is set up, I feel like if you are a descendant of the survival of the survivors of like chattel slavery, you don't have to be a worker and you can be the boss instead. And I feel like most Black people I know are like already inherently entrepreneurial. And it's just like if you want to use that work bag to move abroad, to start your own business, you can leave a toxic environment to kind of set yourself up to do what you really want to do. And one of the things that I tell the women that I work with is, once I kind of get a lay of their facts, I ask them, okay, so what did you want to do with your life before you fell into this like toxic job situation? Like who are you? What do you care about? What do you want to do? Because I think one of the first things that happens when we are in these bad environments, we like forget how to dream. So I like to help women figure that out too. But leave is a great way to kind of start that dreaming process and to have you set up so you can leave.
Yeah. And speak to someone about it if you don't know how the whole FMLA works or short-term disability, because it's a good way to do exactly what Latrice just said. Go ahead and get your mind right, but also get ready, right? Get ready for what's next. And so Miss P has, well, I saw another QQQ, but it just said help. Hey, hello all. I don't know what that, oh, you also said I'm going through this right now.
I'm sorry to hear.
Yeah. So Miss P says, is an employee obligated to work with the union and their arbitration agreements with a company, or can an employee seek legal counsel outside of the union? What if employee is not a union member?
Yeah, no, so unions, so if you're inquiring about unions, no, I would so they are designed to protect you, and you do have, if you're a part of a union, even if you're not a part of it, if that union is active, I still think you have some rights. And I could look into that for you and do some further investigation. I don't want to speak without like knowing for sure. But I think you can still talk to someone outside of that like union, and they can even work together sometimes to come up with the best strategy for you. But
yeah, and I think you would need to probably know what union that is, because I think
right,
some unions, you would get less pushback if you spoke to somebody outside, and then there's others that will be, yeah. So let's go on to El Shiva's. My question is loaded, but I'll keep it brief. What is the legal time frame that you can still fight for your unemployment benefits that you were denied, wrongfully terminated in 2020?
Yeah, so you still might be able to apply for like unemployment benefits, but if you didn't, I would want to know if you were offered any kind of severance, or if you signed anything. If you signed away any type of rights, then I would want to talk to you. 4 years of a statute of limitation is kind of hairy, but there are exceptions to that. I guess it would just depends.
It was 2020, and it could be also, I'm jumping in here because I just thought of a situation. It could be why you were terminated too. So
right.
What was the reason? And I'm sure that there could be
Because I
based
know
on
if you quit,
yeah. Go ahead.
there's limits on that, but it still might be worth investigating. And normally, if you were wrongfully terminated, those employers, like normally don't fight unemployment. I wonder what reason they would give you as to why they would deny that. That's not commonplace to deny when you let someone go. So
Okay, there's
let me
another
talk to
question.
you. Love,
Yeah,
please.
Alshiva, I just put her the link to her YouTube channel where you can see her Calendly and you can book from her YouTube channel. There's another question. Oh, wait, look, she has a response. No severance pay was offered. I refused.
Oh,
Oh,
so no, you have that's information. Oh no, that's
I
you might
figured
have a
it
claim.
had something to do with that, but go ahead.
Sure. Yeah, we should talk.
So I just put her, like I
Yeah.
said, I just put her YouTube channel. When you go to the top of her page, you'll see links that you can book and your consultations are complimentary, or is there
They are, yeah.
30
I
minutes or
talk to
something?
you for free, and then if I could take you, I give you terms of what that looks like, and you talk further. But
Now she's out the country right now, but
oh, I'm here in the States. I'm in California.
okay. No.
Oh,
Elshiva's out of the country.
I see. Yeah. Oh, that's fine.
Yeah. Okay. All right. And where were you in Italy, Latrice? I meant to ask you.
So I went to Tuscany, I went to Rome, I went to Pescara, which is in a region, Abruzzo, which is where my husband's family is from. So it was really cool. I loved Italy, and we actually made some friends that we plan to see hopefully in the spring. And what I wanted to talk real quick about the American passport for Black Americans, like treat that like your, like freedom papers. You know how like back in the day, like if you were a freed Black man, you would have your paper and people would stop you. What are you doing walking around with your head all high? And like so. But I think with that, our modern day freedom papers is our passport. Can you leave if you needed to? Period.
Listen, I've been trying to share that with, and especially even if you're not planning to leave right now.
Yeah.
And I say this especially when I think about the young babies that may get caught up. And when I say young babies, I'm talking about your kids that are in high school, Black men that are just walking down the street and get snatched up.
Right.
Out identification showing that you are in fact a citizen. We all look alike to many people anyway. And so
Yes.
I definitely co-sign that. I've been trying to, emphasize that over and over again. Don't think of it only as you're leaving the country. Think of it as your way to confirm that you belong in this country, right? That you are a U.S. citizen versus someone who came from a Muslim country, an African country, South American country, which are the countries that they talked about going after. So Kiki B has a question. Is it more strategic for Black women in the work environment to be in a visible alliance with each other, or to meet outside of work to support each other? That's a good one.
That's a very good one. And I mean, like, I know that kind of, I could put a legal spin on that too. I think in the office, it would behoove us if we kind of did move kind of in silent, like just like if we looked at each other, oh, hello, just like, like very softly, oh, hello. But then like after work, like have the real conversation. Because trust me, I think there is something inherently nosy about the like white population. Like they if they can gain insights and like what we're doing and how we're feeling, like they're really occupied with us. So one of the things that I think we need to do in 2025 as part of our own like perseverance and like resistance is to kind of like give less of our authentic selves at work. Have it work you. And someone told me like, so I have a Persian cat, and like someone told me like, if someone asks you how you're doing at work, like only talk about your cat. Only it's like, oh, well, Diva, and her name's Diva. She's named after that Beyonce song.
Oh, okay.
Just just like, oh well, Diva had to go get a shot today. Like, don't give them anything on you, because trust me, if and when they can use it against you, they will. And I think, I'm sorry about that. Hopefully that stops, but hopefully you get my point about moving in silence a little bit.
And just to add to that, I would say be careful who you build alliances with, because all skin folk ain't kinfolk. And we listened to an audio the other day where this gentleman talked about a friend of his, getting the boot based off of videos that she put on social media to discuss everything that's going on in this country. And, some of those people, it's like better her than me. So if they can use ammunition against you, if you don't know who these allies are, then just be careful, and or be strategic, I should say. Also, when it comes to former allies, like, you may have had some of the closest relationships with, some white people before November 5th, and now it may be a little weird, right? No one knows how anyone is feeling. Keep, like you said, like Latrice just said, keep talking about your cat, keep talking about, this cooking class you took, or this thing you saw on Food Network, or whatever it is, but don't go into your pure emotions, because they may be varied and they may not fall in line with other people's, but definitely be conscious of the conversations that you have and the allies that you think you have, because it can backfire. And so, are you ready to take another question? There's another question. Latrice?
Yeah, I can. Sorry that my fire alarm is going off. I'm not sure if that's like, can you hear it? Is it pretty bad?
I mean, we hear it. But now we don't. So, or did you mute it? You mute? Oh, okay. Okay. So let me just go through and see if there's any other comments. I'll go from the top, and I'll just say hi to a few of the. I'm just say hi real quick. Hey, Crystal. Hey, Moni. Hey, Bruce.
Okay, I think it stopped. I'm sorry.
Okay, that's okay. Okay, we'll come back. Hey, Cynthia. Let me say hi to Cynthia OG. Welcome, welcome. Can't believe it's Friday already. Okay. So there was another question. This is from Miss P. Can you seek damages if you left a and department and in a new job department in the same company? So you left one area of the company, went to another area of the same company, but the reason you left that first area was because it was toxic. I think that's what she said.
Okay. And I guess I would say it would depend on if that like toxic behavior or whatever events, that issue, were related to protected classes, because you can still some people sue their companies and keep their jobs and then can still like move on at the company. Some people, so it would depend. So I would want to talk to you to know what those specs are, and you can still I could still draft up like a demand letter for you, and we could talk about what claims you might have, and we can talk about what a settlement could look like, for sure.
Okay. And so as it relates to, that was a good question. Thank you, Miss P, because I had no idea.
Yeah.
I'm like, you see that company, you out of there, but you're right. Like, yeah. There are options. So can you share, this is a 3-parter. Can you share one, if you are seeing an uptick in your business? Number 2, what do you project transitioning into the new sheriff in town and all of his goals, initiatives, demands? And 3, we'll start with those 2. So have you seen an increase, and what do you predict moving forward?
So for sure, I definitely think it's an increase, but I think it's an increase that people are kind of catching on to. Like I said, I did a live with Dr. Jenny Wells, and she and her colleague made this cycle about the like Black women employee life cycle. It's like what happens to us is across industries, sectors, title level. It doesn't matter, but a lot of us do feel like we get recruited. Everything's fine at first. We come up with like bright eyes and like bushy tails. We get mistreated. We get asked to do more work. We get asked to do work outside of our pay grade. We get underpaid, and I think No one wants to, we don't talk enough about the like gap when it comes to like compensation. Black women are paid horribly compared to our white peers. And it's just something that I think needs to change. But you want to talk about like predictions. I predict that if you a lot of us, I don't want to say it because it's sad, but a lot of us will be terminated, and either by the end of the year, if not early next year. January is normally when people get fired, and I can predict that happening. Why? Because there's already this kind of push on like um, not seeing the value in like DEI, which I wrote a whole article about it. DEI is actually profitable, and what this and what the stats say is like stats prove that companies that prioritize it do better financially than the ones that actually don't prioritize it. But like that's America's loss. So I predicted, and I feel like when Trump talks about, excuse me, when the orange clown, and I don't want to use his name, and that's what I call him, orange clown. You already know what I'm talking about. When the orange clown kind of makes clear that like like DEI is attacked, and he wants us back in black jobs, and he wants us back pre-civil rights. That's a white supremacist way of saying we want you guys to be back in my kitchen watching my kids. Why? Because we at least speak English. I mean, like, can we tell the truth? Like, that's part of it. Like, when they say black job, they mean like they want us. They don't want us in the boardroom. They don't want us in the C-suite, even though we're more educated than them, and our resumes tend to be better than theirs anyway. So there's all of that. So I predict a lot of black. I strongly encourage my clients. I'm gonna help you get a bag with that. You start your own business. You become like a like like a digital nomad. You like travel the world. You do all the things that you want to do. Start dreaming because you are worth it. You've made these companies enough money as it is. So start like making yourself money, and you'll be surprised.
And I 100% agree with that. But I also know there are people in our community that may be closer to I'm not starting a job. I'm not starting a whole new business. I worked 25 years here, and so I even hope that we can, for those of us that, because like I said, not everybody wants to travel either. You can't take everyone with you, right? And I get that, but focusing more on community, right? Less about, trying to keep up with the Joneses and building community every time. Similarly, like when you said they don't want us in the boardroom, they want us to go back where we're not even a full human. Like we're a fraction of a human. Like our voice is not equal. Our voice is not one-to-one. And you have the wealthiest man helping to run this ish. And he comes from
apartheid,
right? Apartheid, we know where he's comfortable, and so just having another plan. So we know that there's going to be a push towards getting rid of Black and brown people, especially those that are doing well financially, to knock us back down to size, we got too big for our britches, as my grandmother used to say. And how do we prepare for that? How do we plan for that? And so the prediction you said is that, it's definitely going to get worse. How much time do you think, because like he is, saying with the first 180 days, how much time do you think we have as a community to really start getting our ducks in a row, like getting our money right, getting all of these plans together before we start seeing a major? Go ahead. A major.
To be like completely frank, when there's a federal initiative to overdo civil rights, when those federal when those protected classifications don't hold any more weight, when the EEOC is defunded and gone. So meaning that you have to start there legally. So the rule is you have to exhaust administrative measures before you can technically file a complaint. That means filing with the EEOC or like a state agency that handles the same route. And I feel like what's cool about our system is we have the federal government, but we also have states' rights. And sometimes states' rights are bad and the federal government checks the states and vice versa. Sometimes the feds are bad, which we can expect coming up, and it'll be good blue states to check the feds. So I think it really just it depends. And I think and I think when I wouldn't be surprised in 6 months. Like I'm hoping to have, again, like when you have that like passport ready and you can buy a plane ticket, if you can, have like plane ticket money, kind of stacked around somewhere. In that video that you showed us to watch, the guy said if there's a power outage, you have no cash. So do you have cash on you? Things like that. So yeah, I want to say 6 months. We should know, how things are. I mean, but civil rights.
And also level up your knowledge, because if so I don't know if anyone saw the post I did earlier this afternoon. The corporate team at Party City, a corporate they're the corporate arm of Party City, was notified today that today is their last day. And even though there was some bankruptcy that happened, companies come out of bankruptcy all the time. They downsized. They had closed 30 stores or something, like 300 stores, something like that. But to walk in the office today and to be notified that literally less than a week before Christmas that this is your last day in the office, and this was corporate wide. This wasn't just a few people. Those who didn't plan are probably, in the most trouble right now. But if you stay ready, like you literally have to. And for those of you, if you're here and you don't know, I do have a link to the type of certifications that are, I don't ever want to say anything's bulletproof, but you have a better chance of getting employment, and not only employment, work from anywhere employment, or work from home type of employment, I should say. So from anything that's related to, the AIs or the, I went over all that. Anyway, so you can find that link in the description, and keeping yourself ready, just keeping yourself prepared and up to date. There is another question. Hold on a second. I worked for law firm 11 years. The only minority woman, was let go because I was the highest paid manager in my department. 2 attorneys walked away, started their own business.
Wow. Yeah, I'm sorry to hear that, but that sounds very, very common. I had a client who was a manager for almost 20 years at a big corporation, and just the amount of like gaslighting that goes on for the Black woman manager. Like there's pressure put on you as the manager, but then you get encouraged to put pressure on other people. But you doing that pressure, you get like complaints. Oh, so and so's unapproachable. Oh, so and so mean. And it's like, okay, well, like this is like trickle down pressure. It's not me, but watch us get blamed for it. So we get a lot. There's all kind of stuff that I see.
Yeah. And even if let's just say you don't feel like your job is at risk right now, everything that's about to happen can very well play on your psyche, right? Can very well start to cause you some type of angst. And for us, our angst doesn't come across as depression or sadness or melancholy. It comes across as the angry Black woman, unapproachable, attitude, chip on the shoulder,
all her emotions.
Exactly. And so again, you may be okay today on December 20th, but come January 29th, after the whole pomp and circumstances that's about to go down, it may be a whole different story. So we want you to really pay attention to your emotions. If you have questions, please follow Latrice on her page, set up a consultation. She can, walk you through whatever situations you find yourself in now or you are worried about. um, and so if you have any questions now, we have a couple more minutes. I'm going to go through. I see there's a question. Oh, no, it's a comment. Please get your question in now before we lose this brilliant mind.
Well, the last thing I wanted to quickly say is if you do find yourself, and don't worry about like if it happens to you, if it's early January and if you get called into a random meeting and you have no idea what it's about and they do fire you, don't accept any severance less than a year. And if it's 6 months, still reach out to me and I could help step in for you and like get you at least that year. The like longer that you've been at a company, the more you can ask for and the more that you can trace profitable contributions to like company pockets, then that helps too. And the more, like crazy stuff that has happened to you over the years that people have been notified about, that's where it comes in to be your own like historian, because you have to explain, because if you have to kind of map out your own facts so you can build your case.
Now, I have another question before we let you go.
Sure.
Say you're at the place now where you're like, okay, I see the writings on the wall. I need to make some moves. I need to be preemptive for this. I don't even want to be here anymore. Well, I'm sure they can contact you and you can help walk them through that. But what type of general advice would you give someone who's ready? Because there have been people in here saying that they're ready to go. Like they're in a red state, blah, they've seen things. Right. What type of advice? Oh, and I like your doll in the background, by the way.
Oh, thank you. Yeah.
See mine?
I do like yours, and I've noticed that. And I think you and I are cut from that same cloth that we like.
But yeah, if you can share some insight into what someone in that predicament, because I believe come January, there's going to be even more and more people in that predicament. What should they do now?
Right.
To stay kind of ahead of the game.
Yeah. So there's a few things. And so, first of all, if you want out, like go ahead and like start like documenting now. Go ahead and figure out like what kind of events have led up to this moment for you to feel this way, because those are things that you have to notify, and that can help build your case. But I would just basically say that like there's a way, like I call it like the whole like 3 doors of exiting a job. There's like a mutual kind of like, hey, like I'm grateful for all the things that I've had at this company. That being said, I do want to leave. Can we properly privately handle this and come up to an agreement that we can both agree on? There's that. There's also, like you're being treated, you're being subjected to like a hostile work environment based on those like federally protected classifications, and your company is on notice. Then the rule becomes no reasonable person would stay in this job. So even if you were to quit tomorrow, the law treats that like you were wrongfully terminated, and you can still recover damages for that. But then there's also wrongfully terminated. So if they fire you, let them do it. Just call me and we'll try to get you the most out of that situation. Right. But I think there is like 3 doors there. There's 3 different approaches, and it just depends.
Yeah. And don't let desperation be a regret. Don't sign anything because you need to pay rent tomorrow or the next day. Don't let them trap you into an agreement that is only for their benefit, and there's nothing on, you have no win in it.
And that's what I said. Never sign never sign anything without talking to a lawyer, number 1. And number 2, if they are offering you severance, if it's to be honest, if it's less than 6 months, it's a smack in the face. But you shouldn't take anything. If you're a Black woman, you shouldn't take anything less than a year. If you're a Black man, you shouldn't take anything less than a year. And I try to give my clients at least a year, if not more, depends on the facts.
Yeah, and just to clarify, she's not talking about if you just started the job this year. Like,
yeah, I mean, if you've been there a while, yeah,
exactly. Okay, so Kiki B says, seems like the only way to get through these environments is to hit it and quit it. When's a good time to dip before it starts changing your essence? Once you get the title or certain salary?
Yeah, I feel like that's kind of like career advice, but I definitely feel like for me it wasn't you want you want to work in your sweet spot. And this is what I tell my clients. Like, and I'm working in my sweet spot right now. Sweet spot means you are doing work that aligns with your skill set and abilities. You're passionate about what you do, like you feel good about the work, and you earn money. You're able to like sustain yourself. And if you can do those three things, then like that's working in your sweet spot. And you know, most corporations aren't that. Like, even if you do have nice people, that hours are demanding and you aren't seeing your family, like you have to sacrifice something. So it
Mhm.
really just depends. I mean, for me, people told me like, oh, you know, you went to USC law school, you should go to a big law firm because that's what people do from your school. People clerk if they can, if they're lucky to. And I was told I was lucky because only 3% of black women clerked, you
Mhm.
know. So it's just like things like that. Like, people kind of give you these little boxes to check, but only you can decide when you're done with checking those stupid arbitrary boxes.
Right.
So,
And I think now is a good time to really assess, because in some instances, companies may be willing to work with you now. And I'm not saying today now, but like before the federal government really gets turned on its head,
mhm.
companies may be willing to be like, okay, this is one more problem I don't have to deal with. So let's see how we can, mutually,
Yeah.
separate from each other. And so
I
one more,
see Crystal. Yeah,
yeah, that
Crystal,
was
to be
so,
honest, don't, if I were you, I would 7 months. I think you can get more than seven. Again, like try to get a year. And if you're over 40, you have more time. Like the rule, I think being over 40 adds like 2 weeks to your timeline. And even if you don't sign by tomorrow, the offer doesn't go anywhere. You could just send a quick email. Hi, I would like a little bit more time to think this over. I'll respond next week. You know, you don't make them, don't feel strong armed into signing that right now, is what I have to say. Yeah.
wonderful. Yeah.
But we can talk. You could reach out to me, but
Yeah, because when you
definitely
say you have to sign your severance package tomorrow, that word "have"
I
make
think even if you don't sign it, they're not going to. They still have an incentive to have you sign it, but like, even if it's, and I think whatever deadline she had, because she is over 40, there's more. If she is over 40, there is more time there.
she
And
just she just put, they said it's not non-negotiable.
yeah, I don't know about that. You can, I mean, counter. If I were you, I would email them and say, you know, I would email counter, and then we can still talk. Like, they can't. Yeah, if you're 60, you have more time. Like, they might tell you it's non-negotiable, but that's, they have an incentive to have you sign that, and they want you to. So,
Right.
and you have more time legally, but we can, you know,
Okay.
yeah,
So
you can email me if you want.
yeah, and I put out, let me do it one more time. I'm adding Latrice's YouTube channel. Follow her, but at the top of her channel page, you can find, more information about her, including a link to her calendar. And if you have relevant questions, not job advice, not that you're looking for a job, but if you're on, the other side where you're thinking about exiting or you were forced to exit. Every time I talk, this thing does this. But yeah, so you can reach out to her, and I just added the link again. I did have one more closing question. I didn't see any
Yeah.
other questions come through. Um, but I would like to know, for it's not really relevant to people in this chat, but people may have children that
Yeah.
have, or just graduating from college, looking for jobs. I have a niece
Mm.
here. Like, what advice would you give them with your understanding of where we're headed as a country? So what type of advice would you give anyone that's actually
Yeah.
looking for a job, basically?
So I definitely, one of the things that I've noticed like in my like consultations is like companies treat us dirty in the recruiting process. And what I mean by that is salary. So one of the things that I would like to encourage my brothers and sisters to do is when you're applying for these jobs, definitely ask for that salary that you think that you want and that you know you deserve. Like, and if you can do some research to find out what that is, because just like, believe me, like whatever salary they're offering you, they're probably offering you that white boy more, and that white boy has the audacity to ask. And
Mm-hmm.
that's the only difference between us and them.
Mm-hmm.
So definitely that's the main thing. Like, make sure that that salary coming in is good, because you want to start that relationship off on a good note. If you're going to work at a company and give them your time, you want to be compensated properly. So there's that. And then also I would say, like, when it comes down to like whether or not you're being treated fairly, it's good to kind of have like one work friend that's like a white person or something that you can say, hey, like, you know, my offer letter says this. How much does yours say? Someone that can give you a real answer so you know what's up. And then also, I mean, because I'll give you like another anecdotal example. As a client of mine was able to help prove that she was being asked to do tasks that her white colleagues weren't, because she asked her white colleagues, hey, so and so told me to do this. Is this how it works? And the white colleague goes, oh no, normally it's this way. So you find out that desperate treatment exists by
Mm-hmm.
talking to the people who are being treated fairly normally. So I think that those are the two biggest things. And like, I would say, like, keep your head down and blah blah blah. That stuff doesn't really work for us, because what I'm noticing is Black introversion is perceived like we're being rude. And I
Right.
remember when I was an associate at those like white shoe law firms, when I was focused, people thought I was rude. Are you okay today? Is everything okay? Yeah, I'm just focused.
Right.
It's like,
But it's already ingrained in their head that this is how we are. So even if we're doing the same exact things as Karen,
yeah,
we're going to be looked at different, or it's going to be looked at as we are antisocial, anti this, instead of working and being focused, just like Karen in the corner. But because they don't have those preconceived notions, yeah, you're right. It is definitely time for us. And I did a whole video on us being audacious, taking audacious action,
mhm,
having conversations we would have never thought we would have before. And technically following the lead of the new changing of the guard, because every move they are making
yeah,
audacious. They are not letting history, what used to be, what should be,
yeah.
stand in the way of what they want. And we need to take a page out of that book, not saying just be disrespectful, but a lot of us don't even realize people who ask for more money are more respected.
Yeah.
That you get more respect when you try to negotiate your value. Even if you don't get exactly what you want, they look at you different than someone who's just gonna say yes to anything. And so
And the last thing I'll say about that is, for Black women, there's this kind of perceived notion that we don't ask for what we are owed. Therefore, it's okay to work us. In America, Black women are America's favorite to exploit.
most
Um,
disrespected. What did
yeah,
Malcolm X say? Yes, we are absolutely exploited. There's just no respect or lack of respect. And that's one of the reasons I promised to mostly work in spaces where I could elevate the community, right? Most
mhm,
of
mhm.
my long well, I've only had really 4 jobs. And 2 of those were in Black owned spaces. And so I trained by some really, really amazing white men about business. And I was able to parlay that into helping our community in different ways. And so I thank you. I am going to do Christine because Christine's the moderator. So let me just see what she said. OMG, I'm triggered. This happened to me because I was minding my business and doing my work. They hated it and they turned against me and got the manager to turn against me, then got rid of me. Yeah. And it doesn't take much to people to turn against you.
And it's normally a person. What I'm noticing is a good friend of mine, Jackie Abrams, talks about this covert campaign. It's normally a supervisor that just has everyone turns against you, and even your friends might start treating you differently because they know that you are being treated differently and they don't want to be attached to you. So what I'm noticing of how much the American workforce operates like high school, operates like a plantation. It's just all of these rules that they don't tell us, but when it comes to pushing us out, they'll make up any excuse as to why we gotta go. They just don't want us there. And I feel like screw them is what I say. Like,
So everyone, I want you to remember that not only does Latrice offer consultations as it relates to workplace discrimination, she also offers intellectual property consultation for Black entrepreneurs. I wish I would have talked to you before I decided to give up one of my business names after someone stole it.
Oh, I'm sorry.
But no, I spoke to an attorney and she was just like, listen, financially, and she's an attorney anyway. Yeah, so it wasn't worth the money it would have taken to fight it. But Latrice also offers that. So if you are, if you have your own business, if you're looking to start your own business, those trademarks as of today are very important. They're very important. So you can, reach out, do a consultation with her about that. And so I thank you, Latrice. This is a conversation that, I wish we didn't have to have, but the writings on the wall, every, critical thinker or historian that you listen to who is telling the truth is basically telling us what's about to go down. I played a video from this Caucasian gentleman, and I can't remember his name right now, but he's a professor, has been a professor since the 70s, has literally laid out everything that we're talking about for Black and brown people. And he gave the example of the Japanese who were all put in concentration camps. And so the writing's on the wall. I want us to stack the odds in our favor. I want us to be as prepared as we can. And so anyone that comes to this platform that is dropping gems, please support, because they're in line. They're in line with our goal and mission for us to stay ready, and no more toxic jobs, no more unsafe workplaces, no more feeling like we have to settle for the harsh treatment and the trauma that we've been experiencing and will continue to experience even more so now.
Because we've already suffered enough, and our ancestors have paid the price so we get to live free.
Yes.
Our ancestors paid those prices. I get to be a whole free Black woman. Thank you very much. Thank you.
It's the liberation for me. Like you said, my ancestors, it says, be your ancestors' wildest dreams, not come back to where your ancestors died and, shed blood and all of that. Be their wildest dreams. And so I thank you. If you have further questions for Latrice, please reach out, schedule a consultation. And starting in January, like I'm bringing as much gems as possible, but January, there's going to be a strategy for action taking, period. Action taking. Because like I said, I'm doing this because I know the information is suppressed. The information, we're talking about everything else as a community except this right here, right? But starting in January, we're going to have a strategy on more action, less talking, less planning, and more action. And so hopefully we'll be able to bring Latrice back. And wonderful, wonderful. Be sure to follow her. Again, her link is in the description, the first line of the description of this video. And I also put it a couple times, and I'll do it one more time as we head out. Let me hit send. And if you have any final words, Latrice, you could take us on out of here.
For sure. So, like I said, I could be, at the White Shoe Law Firm, and I did that, but I would much rather help liberate my people, help my people get financial backing that we deserve and that we need. And the main thing I want us to start, like dreaming again. Who do we want to be? We're so allowed to be who we want to be, and there's a whole big world out there, and this is a Black woman's world. And I know what I love Stephanie Perry, because she kind of like reminded. I know you also did her like YouTube challenge. I did the same.
Okay.
But one of the things that she talks about is like, this is a world for us. Oh, if you want to email me, I can meet with you next week. If there's I'm not sure what.
Sign tomorrow. She's the one who has to sign the document tomorrow.
Yeah. So if you want to email me, Crystal, we can chat today or whatever. I could advise you. If you reach out to me, we can figure out something.
Okay. But go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead. I just wanted you to go ahead.
No problem. But no, it's just like there's a whole world out here, and it is a world for us, and we don't have to stay in an environment like America. Has an unhealthy, abusive relationship with Black people. She only loves us when we win. You know, at the Summer Olympics, when we brought home all that gold, she was so happy. But we wanted to be president, and then she said no. So it's just so I want us to listen to this country when she tells us who she is, and we can do better. And it'll always be home, but we can live a better life. So.
Exactly. And we were never part of the original plan anyway. So let's be clear on that. They used and abused us, right? But we were never part of the original plan. And I just want us to know that, and know that we have no alliance, we don't have to play the game they want us to play it and end up with the Black jobs that they want us to have. So thank you so much, Latrice. We appreciate you being here. I'm sure quite a few people you will be hearing from. And thank you for being part of Gym Nation. This was so informative. And once again, hopefully next month or soon thereafter, we'll be able to bring you back when the craziness really starts.
Yeah, and I can give more tailored advice.
Exactly. There you go. All right. Everyone have a good night. Thank you. We'll see you tomorrow. Tomorrow is Saturday. Oh, I had to change the time. It's tomorrow evening. I can't remember what time. It may be 7 p.m., but I'll post it tonight. And I'll see everyone then. All right. Good night, everyone.